It was Steve Jobs who said that the secret of my success is that I have gone exceptional lengths to hire the best people in the world. Listen, your business is only as good as the quality of people that you hire. I'm speaking from experience. Over the past 3 years, I've employed about 100 people across my businesses, and in this video, I want to show you what works. Here are the 3 things I look out for whenever I'm at the recruitment table. Join me, because in this episode of Mindscale, I want to teach you how to hire the best people for the job. Hi, business owners and prospective business owners, and everyone who wants to ensure that they make the best decisions with respect to hiring in a not too distant time from now. Welcome to another episode of Mindscale with Olushola, and it's another exciting episode. And just before we begin, I want to say that I want to thank you personally for being a part of this. But we've also noticed that a lot of people enjoy these videos, are blessed by them, and even go on to share them with people, but are still not subscribed. In fact, the data has shown that there's a large percentage of people who perhaps have forgotten to subscribe and have just maybe been carried away with so much value. And so if you're yet to subscribe to this channel or yet to follow any of our audio streaming platforms, kindly do so as we speak. So kindly click on the subscribe button. Thank you so much. And do not forget to turn on post notification so you'll be the very first person to know when next we drop another mind-altering, positively, mind re-engineering video that will leave you spellbound and leave you improved. Okay. And so in this episode of Mindscale, I want to talk about something very dear to my heart. Okay. Because I'm a serial entrepreneur, which means that I have the privilege of founding and leading several businesses and having a lot of people under my employment. It's a privilege. I like to call them co-workers, right? Not so much employees per se, because they are really my guys, right? And I would say that if you were to ask me what's the greatest bottleneck and barrier to growth, it will be people. But if you also ask me what's the greatest catalyst to growing businesses, it's also going to be people. And so people, human capital, human resources are, in my opinion, the most important ingredient to flying any business and taking it from one level to another. However, in this video, I want to talk to you about the cost of hiring wrong. But before I talk about what to do right, I think it's important that I let you know the cost of doing it wrong. Are you getting what I'm saying? And so in this video, I want to tell you and expose you to my playbook and let you know what has worked, not just for myself, but for several accomplished entrepreneurs and how they've been able to build businesses from the scratch by employing the resources of humans that are available to them. But before we talk about how to recruit properly, I need to let you know the cost of hiring wrongly. In 2021, there was a survey by Career Builder, and that survey showed that a single bad hire costs a company an average of $15,000 in wasted resources. And it also costs them productivity. It also costs them morale damage. Now, this shows you that it actually costs more to hire wrong than to hire right, because your entire vision could actually be done away with. It rests on the hiring. Your vision could be so profound. It could be so nice. Your mission statement could be so intelligently put together. You could have great vibes, great energy, great aspirations on how you want to improve the business and take over the world. But everything literally rises and falls on the strength of your human resources. And so you don't just hire, for example, to fill a role. You hire to protect and to propel the vision of the business. And so this is very important. You must hire correctly. And this leads me to the statement I made at the introduction, which I'm about to expound to you. There are 3 main things I look out for at the recruitment table. But these 3 things, I'm going to break into 2 halves. Now, the 3 things are: I look for competence, I look for character, and I look for attitude. But the first half is competence. And so I look for competence when I'm recruiting people at the base level. Now, why is competence important? Well, I think it is, to most people, the most important Either that is true or not, we'll discover in a not too distant time. But let's start by talking about competence. You see, competence is the proven ability of a person to deliver results. When you're recruiting people at the table, the first thing you must check is competence. Okay? And when we talk about competence, it's already ingrained in our system, because before people get a job, they apply for the job, and in the job descriptions, they already see what the core competencies that are needed for the job are. And so you submit a CV when you think that your competencies match the requirements of that new role. And so that's why we submit what's called curriculum vitae, popularly called CVs. And so when we talk about competence, it's partly about certificates, it's partly about maybe a first-class degree. No, don't let anyone sweet talk you into the fact that school is scam or first-class degrees don't matter. Trust me, they do. And I'm not going to lie. They do. They matter. These degrees matter. It was one of my friends at school who said his dad told him that a first class, even in clapping of hands, is appreciated anywhere in the world. And so go for the best results if you can. If you can't hit the first class, go for what's after. If you can't hit that, go for what's after. Just do the best in your power to ensure that you're competent enough. That's if you are an employee watching this. And if you're an employer of labor, look out for the best candidates, because many cases, academic brilliance is oftentimes an indicator to all-round excellence. I know it's not the only indicator, don't get me wrong, because I've seen people who are proficient academically but terrible in terms of street smartness and are badly behaved, but it's a credible and noble thing to have a first-class degree or to have a very polished CV. And so, yes, it's important. Check the CVs, okay? Check the CVs. Check the CVs. But beyond what the CVs say, you must understand that a good CV can open the door, but you must understand that it's beyond that. That what truly counts is things that are demonstrable, right? Demonstrated skills, experience, and a track record of solving real problems. And so beyond just trying to recruit people by looking at their CVs and seeing if they're good or not, I think you must have a system that can map out and show something else. So, for example, I've found out that many of the big four accounting companies and many other top consulting firms and oil and gas companies around the world, IOCs, have a very strict way of sieving through the noise. You will see that each recruitment process has ingrained under it different processes. So beyond the oral interviews, they're going to give you case studies. They're going to take you through a crazy process to ensure that you really are the best pick for the job. And so true competence is beyond just CVs. You must also point out your consistency, must also be able to show your reliability. So when you were at this previous job, what problems did you solve, right? And this is important. And another thing also, proper process of competence is also supposed to reveal your capacity to adapt under pressure, okay? Because this is what separates potential from performance. And so potential is good, but, you must be able to. Now, this is important because you must learn to hire smart people. They are really the ones that will drive the business. This is important. I think it was Zig Ziglar or someone who said that you don't grow a business. You grow people and people grow the business. I think that's so profound, and I really do agree. It was Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, who famously said that it doesn't make sense to hire smart people and then tell them what to do. He says, we hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. I think this is very profound. One of the main reasons I've been seeing growth across my businesses is that I don't just hire smart people and want to boss them around. I think there was a time where I clearly told my managers in a boardroom, I said, my goal is not to be the smartest person in this room. My goal is to hire the smartest people. And so this is important. And so you need to learn to recruit competent people, because competence builds trust, okay? When somebody consistently delivers, you don't have to second guess them. Your team and your clients automatically start to rely on them with confidence, okay? And so competence is important. That's how I'll say, for sure. And so you must hire people who don't just do the job, but do these jobs well, okay? And someone who is competent also knows how to troubleshoot when the problems come. They know how to handle problems when they come up. They know how to handle them without creating bigger issues for you. So they know how to help you reduce risk. I think that in all that you do, particularly if you're trying to grow an enterprise from what it is to another level, don't bargain when you are trying to recruit people. Don't be too selfish to pay the right people, because I'll tell you this, the right people, when employed, pay themselves. They pay themselves. They pay themselves. And so competence can never, ever, ever be overstated. An organization that is filled with competent employees, for example, learn the foundation, or rather, they lay the foundation for long-term success. In fact, they are the ones who ensure that growth is sustained. And so I would say, go for competent people. And it leads me to the other two things I look out for, which are character and attitude. And so I'm going to group them in one. And I would say, I look out for character. This, in my opinion, is even much more important than competence, as great as competence is. You see, a lot of employers over-prioritize competence. Sometimes it's hard to blame them because they want guys who can come in and do the job with minimum supervision. But you see, competence without character creates brilliant disasters. I'm telling you this from personal experience. A winning team is not just built on competence, it's also built on character. One without the other will lead to leaks, will lead to shortcuts, will also lead to missed opportunities. And so, character and competence are like Siamese twins. They are inseparable on the grounds of business growth. And so, you don't just hire people who just want to come and flex their muscles and show what they've got. You have to hire properly. And one of the ways to ensure that you hire people with formidable character is there has to be more to them than just a paycheck. And so you don't just hire people who want a big salary. You have to hire people also who want to buy into the dream, because their why must align with your mission. I'm talking about character and attitude now, because there's something called culture fit. The person has got to want the job. The person has got to want to work with you to see your vision come to life more than just to get paid. And so in a world where competence focuses on hard skills, I would say character and attitude should focus on soft skills, because soft skills matter. There was a Harvard study that found out that about 85% of job success actually comes from soft skills and people skills, while only 15% come from technical, or do I say technocratic skills. And so I would understand when people begin to even prioritize character and attitude above competence. I put it this way, and I hope it will help you. I always say that I'm likelier to recruit somebody who has 100% attitude and 70% competence than somebody who has 100% competence and maybe 60 to 70% attitude. I'll tell you why. It's because a person with the right attitude will have the desire to learn, and they can catch up even faster and improve their competence. But somebody who's got all the competence in the world but doesn't have the desire, the energy, and the willingness to be a part of what you are trying to build will soon be a bottleneck. It will soon be a bottleneck. It was Herb Kelleher, the founder of Southwest Airlines, who said something very profound. I think this statement was attributed to him. He said, hire for attitude, but train for skill. I think this is profound. Hire for attitude, but train for skill. That is important. The fact that you must ensure that a culture fit is somebody you get into the door, not just somebody who claims he can do everything. And so if their values don't align, their competence will clash with your vision. Their competence will clash with your vision. What's their character like? Your character is who you are when no one is watching. Is the person credible? Will the person look to take all your customers away? Will the person look to usurp you, for example, on the bureaucratic chain? Will the person just want or have an insatiable quest and thirst for power at the expense of everything else? These things are things you must watch out for. And so when it comes to recruitment, great leaders do differently than other people when hiring. First and foremost, they hire slow and they fire fast. You don't rush a recruitment process. Don't do it. Because if you're so desperate and so much in a hurry to recruit, I heard someone once say stuff like, when you recruit people, don't tell them to resume immediately. Don't. Particularly if they're working somewhere else. Some will tell you, I can leave immediately and they will come. Listen, if they leave hurriedly and burn bridges to join your company, one day they will leave your business hurriedly and also burn the bridges. Because what goes around comes around. And so Wise leaders, when recruiting, hire slow, fire fast, but they also learn to prioritize values and ethics, for example. And so when great leaders are recruiting, they once again prioritize values and ethics as much as they value and prioritize qualifications. Okay. And this is important. Another thing I think you should also learn, which I've learned recently, is that you should learn to probe for motive, right? Ask them questions like, why do you want this role? Honestly, I think if their answer starts and ends with money, it doesn't necessarily fully mean it's a full-blown red flag. But if it's just money all the way, I think it's a red billboard. But then some are always sincere to tell you, look, I need the money to make ends meet for my family. Don't think they are money mongers. Just being honest with you. Because sometimes we always act like we ourselves don't like money. You like money. In fact, that's why you're working, many of you. But just make sure that there's more to it than just money, okay? And you must also learn to ask practical and situational questions, to also test their problem solving under pressure, okay? And try to observe for humility, because talented people without humility will actually erode your team. They want to be the only ones who are getting all the applause at the expense of their team. And I think finally, what I'll tell you to do is you must learn to look for learners. This speaks to attitude. You must learn to look for learners, because fast learners will always beat I know it alls every single time. And so it's at this juncture that I want to say that I hope that I've given you a recipe for prolonged success at the recruitment table. Look, pay attention to this, and I really do hope that you employ it in your business, and you also send this to as many human resource managers as possible. I'm sure they already know these things, but one or two insights could make a huge difference in all that they do. Thank you so much. And at this juncture, I want to say thank you for being a part of Mindscale, where I talk all things business strategy and personal development, self-leadership, and many more. I just want to say thank you for riding with me every single week. And do not forget to click on the subscribe button if you still haven't. Subscribe. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you'll be the very first person to know when next I drop a life-transforming episode of Mindscale. Till then, don't forget to like this video and share with someone. I'm going to see you in the next one. Ireo.